Crystal and someone sitting in the tree. Kissing. First comes love, then comes marriage, then comes a baby in a baby carriage. I mean, Mother Goose made life so simple, right? Let me sure I have these steps correct. First, you kiss. Then you fall in love. Then you marry the person you kissed and fell in love with. Then you two have a baby together. Well, I hate to break it to any loosey-goosey fans, but life is not always that simple. These are the dreams that the women in my family wanted to fill my head with. Get your schooling, find you a nice young man, and have a family. These orders were given and expected to be followed without protest. So, here I am on the brink of 33 years old. I got my schooling, had a couple of nice young men that turned out not to be so nice, and the only family I have is the one I was born into. Then the interrogation begins. From old friends I run into at the grocery store, co-workers on break making small talk, my family with serious concerns, and though I know it's coming, I'm never really prepared for this question. Why don't you have any children yet? This question sears through my heart like a blade that's been bathed in fire, only plucked from its hell to slip my soul into every time someone inquires why I'm not covered in babies. Though always initially caught off guard, I muster up a sincere smile and simply answer, I had babies. I lost them. 5 to be exact. I had 5 babies swelling my belly, 5 little humans making my breasts fill with milk and making my face round. All of my babies over a span of 10 years were miscarried. It's a pain that's hard to explain, both physically and mentally exhausting. I mean, for half of my life, I've had babies and I've lost them. It feels irresponsible. Even when the doctor says it's not your fault, it's common. It feels like as a woman, I'm inadequate. I mean, what's wrong with me? I would cry out, bleeding my dreams away. Why wasn't my body strong enough to hold them? A part of that is that my body suffered some extreme trauma. At 22 years old, I was diagnosed with cervical cancer. When I got the call, I had to schedule surgery immediately. 6 days later, I had half my cervix removed. I was made aware by my doctor that it would be difficult to get pregnant. However, I had a long-term relationship and we wanted babies, so I remained hopeful. What I learned was that hope didn't carry pregnancies to term. It was stressful, gut-wrenching, hard on my body, and it was a pain that I mostly kept to myself. After my 3rd miscarriage, I decided to tell my mother. We didn't have the best relationship, and there was some apprehension about telling her. I didn't want to, but I felt like I needed to. After all, she was my mom. Maybe she could have added some mystical insight, some code of motherhood that only mothers understood. I invited her to my job. It was 2011, and I worked in downtown Little Rock. Had some pretty fancy digs. My office had a long powder blue wooden table, high-back chairs, original art on the walls, big windows. There was so much sun. I remember how warm it was because the sun flooded through the windows and kissed my face so sweetly, baking my brown sugar into confectionery perfection. My mother walked in. I was nervous. We really didn't talk much in the first place, but I needed her. Little beads of sweat started to tickle my nose. My hands were fidgety. My feet couldn't stay still. She took a seat and got right to it. "What's wrong with you?" she said suspiciously. "I need to tell you something. It's important." My eyes began to water as my thoughts floated about. "Well, tell me, why are you crying?" She sat up a little straighter in her chair. And just as if I was giving the time of day and weather, I said it. I had a miscarriage. "Well, you shouldn't have been having no baby with that boy in the first place," she barked out. "Is that all you have to tell me?" I was floored. That boy had been the man in my life for 8 years. I loved him. He was my choice, and now we had lost babies together. On top of that, my mother had no regard for the hurt I was experiencing. We didn't exchange any more words. She left, and I felt like it was a mistake to tell her. Maybe she was protecting her heart, not to mourn the loss of a potential grandchild. Maybe as a mother, she wanted better for me. Maybe she didn't care. I'll never know. We have yet to discuss that, and it's always bothered me. A year later, with my same guy, another crushing blow. This time I was teaching school in Baltimore, Maryland, and it was the worst of the 5 miscarriages. I had an ectopic pregnancy. That meant my baby was trapped in my fallopian tube, and if untreated, we both could die. I did reach out to my mother again, not seeking comfort, just to let her know. I asked if she could fly up and be with me during the surgery. She couldn't come because my father's battle with cancer had resurfaced and he was fighting for his life. My guy was in the military, he couldn't get enough leave in time, my friends couldn't afford the flight. It was the loneliest I had been in a while. And even though we weren't square, there are just some times in life when you need your mama. I felt like that baby I was losing, so helpless and so fragile. 2 days later, my baby was removed from my body. I was going to name her Mercy Pearl. I still see her in my dreams. Of the 5 that I lost, she is the baby that I see the most. We have great adventures and talks about life, and I know that she is ever making a way to come through me, and I hope that dream comes true. Some days I hear my grandmother's voice pop into my head, and all I can hear her say is, "Lucy?" One of her names for me. Now, you don't want to be 40-year-old trying to marry and have a baby. Maybe I will be 40 years old, and that's okay. For now, I'm an auntie to beautiful babies bound to me by blood or lifetime friendships, and I'm a mother to many by the way I nurture and protect those that I love. It is my hope that my future babies don't get carried away in sanitary napkins or be crushed by cramps and scar tissue in my womb. It is my prayer that I carry a child to term, push them through my body, and be ushered into a sector of motherhood that doesn't drown in tears of sorrow. Maybe one day I'll hear Mercy Pearl call me by my true name, Mama. She makes me want to be the mother I always wanted to have, that closeness, that pure love, without questions or fear, and all will be well in the world. Maybe one day, and one day soon, I'll be her conduit and her hero.